If you're building applications with Flask, you know that confidence in your code is pretty much everything. So today, we're going to dig into how the Pytest framework can help you build that confidence and ultimately make your apps way more robust and reliable. Let's get right into it.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the why of testing, the modern mindset. Then we'll jump into a practical, hands-on workflow. After that, I'll show you how to supercharge your tests with a cool feature called fixtures. And finally, we'll tie it all together with automation so you can have total confidence in your code. Okay, first things first, let's tackle that big question. In a world where we're all trying to move as fast as possible, why should we even bother with testing? This question, right here, it really gets to the heart of it. You know, maybe in the past, testing was something you tacked on at the end, if you had time. But that whole mindset, it's completely flipped.
This quote really nails it. These days, a bug isn't just some small technical glitch. It can be a huge deal. It could expose customer data, crash a critical service, or seriously damage a company's reputation. So testing has become this fundamental way we protect business value.
What this all means is that in modern agile development, you just can't treat testing as an afterthought anymore. It has to be a core discipline. It's something that's integrated right from the beginning, making sure you're building quality into your product with every single commit. All right, so we've covered the why. Now, how do we actually do it? Let's build out a practical workflow, and we'll start with the two main kinds of tests you're going to be writing. First up, you've got unit tests. These are your first line of defense. Think of it like putting a single function or a single class under a microscope. You're completely isolating one tiny piece of your application just to make sure it works exactly like you think it should. It's a very developer-focused, inside-out view. Then you zoom out with functional tests. These are all about making sure that different parts of your application play nicely together to deliver a whole feature. This is the end user's perspective. You know, when I click this button, does the right thing actually happen? So, to put it all together, unit tests are super fast, they're isolated, and they give you that inside-out programmer's view. Functional tests, on the other hand, are a bit slower because they're testing more stuff, but they give you that absolutely critical outside-in view of the user. You really, really need both for a solid testing strategy. Now, how do we write these tests so that anyone can understand them? Well, a fantastic practice is this given, when, then structure. Given some initial setup, when a specific thing happens, then I expect this specific result. It makes your tests read like a simple, clear story. So picture this. You're writing a functional test. Before you even get to the actual logic, you have to write all this setup code, create a test client, configure the app, and you have to do this over and over again for every single test. All this boilerplate just clutters things up, and it buries the one thing you actually care about testing. It's a huge pain point, and it's a sign that there's got to be a better way. And guess what? There is a better way. This is where we can totally supercharge our workflow using a really powerful feature in Pytest called fixtures. So what exactly is a fixture? Well, think of it like a reusable helper function that handles all that boring setup and cleanup work for you. It prepares a consistent, predictable environment for your tests to run in, so you can just focus on what matters. And this is the result. When you use a fixture, all of that repetitive setup code, it just vanishes from your test file. It's all handled behind the scenes. Your test becomes incredibly clean, super readable, and it's focused purely on that given, when, then logic. This right here is the goal. The advantages here are just huge. You get rid of duplicate code, which makes your tests way easier to read and maintain. You can share these fixtures across your entire project, and you can even control their scope. You can have one run once for every single function, or just once for the entire test run to make things even faster. Okay. So we've got clean, efficient tests. Now for the final piece of the puzzle, building an automated safety net that gives us unshakable confidence in our code. One of the best things about Pytest is just how simple it is. To run your whole test suite, you just go to your project's main folder and run this one command. That's it. Pytest automatically finds and runs all your tests. No complex setup required. Now, a metric you'll hear a lot about is code coverage. Basically, what percentage of your code is actually run by your tests.
But this quote highlights something so important. Hitting 100% coverage does not mean your code is perfect. It's a useful number, for sure, but it only tells you what code was run, not if it was tested correctly. And here's what one of those coverage reports looks like. It breaks down each file, shows you the number of lines, points out exactly which lines were missed by your tests, and gives you that final coverage percentage. It's a great tool for spotting the parts of your app that have zero test coverage at all. This whole idea of automation naturally leads us to something called continuous integration, or CI. The concept is pretty simple. You have a server that automatically runs your entire test suite every single time any developer on your team pushes new code. It's the ultimate instant feedback loop. To make that feedback impossible to ignore, a lot of teams set up a big, visible monitor. Sometimes they call it an extreme feedback panel. It just shows the live status of the codebase. If it's green, everything's good. But the second it turns red, the entire team knows a recent change broke something, and fixing it becomes priority number one. So, when you bring it all together, the solid unit and functional tests, the clean fixtures, and that automated CI pipeline, you're not just building a bug-finding machine. You're building a system that gives your team true, earned confidence to deploy your software anytime you want. And that leaves us with this one final thought. We've all said it, right? It works on my machine. But a proper testing pipeline, that transforms that uncertainty into a confident yes. And that is a goal worth striving for.